So good morning, everybody. I think we should start. Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Moti Patriano. I'm the manager of the agro-technology sector at the Israel Expert Institute. For those who don't know the organization, we are a non-profit organization dedicated to help Israeli companies with business opportunity worldwide. Our vast majority activities we're doing with our great partners from the Foreign Trade Administration that will take an active part in this session today. We will have time for Q&A question in the end of each session, so please be patient. You can write your question also in the Q&A box, and we will let you know exactly the appropriate time for you to ask your question. So with no further ado, please start. I would like to invite Ayelet Karp-Levin, the head of the economic mission to Ghana. Ayelet, please.
Good morning everybody. Here from Accra, and thank you for joining us in this session. This session is actually a part of a series that we are starting of Africa 101, focusing at different sector every meeting, and it's really started. Me and my colleague Arnon in Kenya opened the first trade and economic missions in Africa. Aside, of course, of a very well-established trade mission in South Africa. Could you hear me? Because I froze, I feel.
Yes, I can.
Sorry. Anyhow, so after 2.5 years on ground, more or less, we feel that a lot of lessons were learned of our day-to-day interaction with Israeli and local partners, and we felt that there's a lot that we can pass on. And we wanted to create this platform for honest and open discussion with all of you. And I'm very happy to have you join. We decided, we chose to put on front the people that usually do the job, trade officers or business development managers in the 3 missions. They are used to talking to Israeli companies. That's what they do almost every day. But they don't usually do it in this forum and giving like perspective of like a meta-analysis of their work. And I think I heard the presentation and it was excellent, and I'm sure you will enjoy it too. I just wanted to point out that if you want to go a little bit more into depth, and if you feel that you have a special technological offering for the African market, there is also a program that is starting soon of TOV. It's a joint project of the JDC and the Ministry of Economy and Industry, implemented by Pierce program, and they will take you through an innovation journey in Ethiopia for solutions that are especially led for smallholder farmers. So that's another opportunity. I will put the link on the chat. You can check it out. At this point, I would just want to really thank Moti for the ongoing cooperation and help in this event. Alberta, our keynote speaker from Ghana, thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to hear your presentation. And of course, to our very own hardworking trade officers, business development managers for your day-to-day work for the Israeli economy and for their presentations and willingness to open up to us today. So thank you very much and enjoy the show.
Thank you a lot, Ayelet. Thank you. Me, likewise, I cannot wait to hear Alberta. So Alberta Akosa, the founder and executive director of AgriHouse Foundation in Ghana. Please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning again, Ayelet and Moti. And once again, thank you so much for having me. And I welcome every one of you to Ghana. Ghana is one of the nicest, of the pleasant and most beautiful and safest, friendly places to be. And not only to be, but to do business. Of course, it's a typical African country with its own pros and cons, but there are a lot of opportunities in taking risk when you want to come to Ghana to do business or to invest in the country.
Alberta, can I please ask you to put a full screen that we can see it better? Thank you.
Okay, a full screen. Okay, here. So in Ghana, we have our popular cash crops, which is mainly cocoa, beans, palm oil, pineapple, cotton, tomatoes, bananas, and fruits. Coconuts is a trendy product, of course, tobacco and cashew and fresh vegetables. So these are basically what everyday consumers are looking for, what people are eating and what people are also exporting. Also popular in Ghana is our animal agricultural sector. It wasn't very popular some years back, but now it's becoming very trendy and people are coming in to invest in it. We have the poultry market, which is huge. We have the cattle market, which is growing. The goat, the piggery, rabbitry, grass cutter, and snails. It's interesting to note that not only are they being done commercially, but also homes and households are taking all these up, which presents enormous opportunity because it's more of a virgin area to coat, and it's a lot of gaps that needs to be filled. Now, the government is also running its own programs, which is mainly done through implementation and through collaborations and partnerships. We have the Planting for Food and Jobs, which is more of a subsidy kind of direction by the government, where they supply farmers with inputs, and then the farmers are able to all purchase and then also grow their farms. So they drive this agenda through partnerships, and this is an area that you could possibly explore in terms of doing business from a government direction. So this is more of a managed risk or a calculated risk because it goes to whatever you are supplying goes directly to the government, and the government in turn gives it to the farmers. So it's the government that pays you, but we should take note of the fact that sometimes it's government, so payments might delay, but you are assured that you will be paid fully. We also have the Revenue for Food and Jobs, which was introduced just about 2 years ago to complement the Planting for Food and Jobs, which focus more on crops. And this is an area that's lies and presents a lot of opportunities because, like I rightly said earlier, the animal agricultural value chain sector, it's huge in Ghana. We have a lot of gaps that needs to be filled when it comes to processing, packaging, feed for animals, and what have you in that sector, veterinary, vaccination, drugs, and everything. So it's really a huge area that needs government collaboration and then private sector support as well. And then there is the Planting for Export and Rural Development that the government is also running, basically to scale up the rural communities with coconuts being the key product. And then they also have the One District, One Factory. So basically the government is trying to have to establish a factory in each region. And also this is also a great gap that needs to be filled. They do this through private partnerships. Just recently, they established the Ekumfi fruit juice processing, and I know they are working with some of the women farmers that we are working with to set up a cassava processing plant also somewhere in the central region. And this is something that they want to do across. So you could think of anything that you are into, that you want to establish a business or a factory, the government is open to collaborate and to partner. And also just last year, at the latter quarter of the year, the government also launched the Tree Crop Development Board, which is also mainly focusing on commercializing other products like the mango, cashew, rubber, oil palm, coffee, and what have you, to complement cocoa. So this is also huge market for Israelis who want to go into commercial farming to also look in these areas. And there is also a program being run by SAPIF, which is also in the northern region, where they partner with private organizations to also give input to farmers, and then they buy the produce after. So this is also a managed kind of relationship where you are assured of a stable environment and to also scale up your business or have your revenue settled or laid in the grounded foundation. And then there are subsidy programs that are being run by the government in collaboration with a lot of fertilizer organizations, which you could also explore. There are now a lot of companies are coming with organic, and the government is buying into it. So that's also a huge potential in that area. And of course, extension services. So I think one of the huge gaps, apart from all this, is the extension services. And though the government is doing so well to have extension officers across the districts and the regions, there is still a huge gap and a huge potential for Israeli companies who build capacity in these areas to possibly come as private organizations or to partner with government to drive extension services across the regions. Now, what is the big deal when it comes to Ghana in terms of exportation? Shea butter, that is mainly produced by our women, processed by our women farmers, the peanut butter oils. So most of these women are able to process their produce into oil. So now we have the soya, the pawpaw, the coconut, the clove oil, but they are doing this on small scale. And it will be interesting for Israeli organizations, individuals, and entrepreneurs to look at how they could partner with these women across the country to commercialize or to scale it up. And of course, we have our local soap, Alata Semina, and then cocoa butter, which is raw and also very strong on the export market. Now, there are a lot of areas to consider when you want to do business in Ghana as an Israeli entrepreneur, an investor. For instance, mechanization centers are huge because there are lots of gaps there. When you visit the 16 regions of Ghana, you realize that we have only few mechanization centers which may be well managed or not well so managed. For instance, in the Upper East region, there's only one lady who has a mechanization center that she's into servicing and rentals of flowers, threshers, sprayers, combined harvesters, and all. And this is a huge institution that an Israeli individual or organization can take up to have mechanization centers across the country or the regions. And with the rising of the pandemic, home gardening became a big thing. But we realized that people were also short of garden tools. So these are areas that you could possibly explore should you want to make an impact in home gardening. And one of the biggest gaps also lies with our transportation. Mostly when our women, and I speak for women because I've been working with them and they share their challenges with us a lot. When they are harvesting, they don't have the means to transport. And that is when we have a lot of losses. So there's a huge gap and a huge opportunity in the transportation sector, transporting it from the farm to the market. So they use this small Kia, or what they call aboboya, and every hour, if you have the aboboya, and then you are taking the produce from the farm to the market, that is 50 cedis an hour, which is quite lucrative to look at should you want to look at the transportation market in agribusiness. And with the pandemic, the pandemic has brought in a lot of awakening. People are looking for technology, and this is a great area, but especially for market accessibility. The smallholder farmers are looking, the commercial farmers are looking, the women are looking. So innovations, technology, for the non-literate farmer, for the commercial farmer, is trending now, and it will be interesting to get Israeli companies to come up with innovations that aligns with the Ghanaian agri-farmer for them to explore. And also, Ghanaians are more of physical people, but we have less demonstration centers or model farms. And it will also be a great area for an Israeli company that wants to invest in demonstration farms to look at. Currently, AgriHouse has acquired a huge vast of land in the northern region, and we are committed to have such centers across. And it will be interesting to have a collaboration with an Israeli company that is interested in practically demonstrating and building capacity and making an impact in that direction. Also, again, we rely on the rains a lot, so irrigation is a big thing in Ghana. And solar systems are becoming very huge for farmers across the nation, and it will be a good area to also look at should you want to invest in Ghana. And yes, I've already spoken about the animal agriculture, so I'll skip it. And another area also to possibly consider to reduce post-harvest losses is storage facilities. We don't have a lot of warehouses for perishable goods, so it'd be a great area to consider. And of course, silos, should you want to explore other areas beyond what you do. We've already spoken about the animal agricultural sector, which is a big thing now when it comes to feed, when it comes to equipment, when it comes to packaging products, when it comes to technology, anything within that, because the government just launched a campaign 2 years ago. So there is still a lot of interest in that sector, and it will be very interesting to have an organization focused on the value chains within the animal agricultural sector. These are for women we are working with particularly, and I wanted to emphasize on that. They are doing this on small scale, but needs to be scaled up. And it will be interesting to have a Jolie organization look at how to support or partner with these women, commercialize these areas. For instance, you go to the north, you have a lot of baobab trees, neem, moringa, shea nuts, and all that. And this can be processed into fruit juice, oils, soaps, even the shea nuts. When I am in the north, I always pick it when it drops on the ground and I'm eating it. And it's very nutritious. It can be dried and well packaged, and it's very lucrative and at the same time very nutritious. So you have the dawadawa, which is also a very common product or tree in the northern region that women are able to get some nutritional values for their babies. So more of these women feed their babies from this dawadawa powder, but it's not being commercialized. All these have been done on small scales. Soya beans into soya bean cake for poultry or for animal feed, and then sweet potato for flour, biscuit, drinks, and when you visit Wale Wale, which is a small community in the northern region, there's a lot of watermelons, a lot. It's not being processed or anything because they don't have any processing factory there. So it's selling for so less, and it would be so interesting that these areas, or when an Israeli company or an individual wants to invest, you could look at how you could partner these women in this northern region who are doing all this to scale up, because it's being done now, but only on a very small scale. And there is a lot of opportunities within these sectors if should you desire to focus there. Also, there's a lot of skill set gaps because of the pandemic and because agriculture is rising and rising each day in Ghana. It will be interesting to have, I know Israel is leading in technology and has a lot of experience on innovations when it comes to social media, online marketing, advertising, great photography. These are areas you could either set up an institution in Ghana to train people or to build their capacity, or better still come in as individuals to, look at how you could establish to build a grounded organization with a focus on this area. Because for me personally, I believe that the value chain is quite huge. And so whilst others are doing farming, processing, and packaging, there is a huge opportunity also that lies within the communication and digital marketing aspect that we have to look at. And I know Israeli is very strong in these areas and could also look at that aside possible greenhousing or any other thing. And so for doing business in Ghana, what do you have to consider? What are the options? You could come in to partner a Ghanaian company. You could possibly also have your own presence by participating in local exhibitions, local programs, coming on board, volunteering to be a trainer for sessions, and that networking then to introduce your products and services. And you can have a local representation. But for local representation, I always believe that even as you're having local representation, you should be a part of the process, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to measure your impact, you want to leave a legacy, you want to have a long-term impact on the market. So local representation is good, but be part of the process in establishing your brand in Ghana. Also, partnership in government projects, like I've said earlier, is very key. And then you could also do franchising, which is very key. But again, I encourage you to be part of the process, even if you are going to, if you want to franchise. And then I've already spoken about the animal agricultural value chain, which presents enormous opportunities. And I encourage you to look at that areas and partner with government and partner with private institutions as well. It's very key that you also consider partnerships or collaborations, or even getting to know farmer-based organizations if you want to have a strong presence or want to have your products very well accepted and appreciated by farmers. Our farmers are becoming very structured now, though some are so disorganized. We have the farmer-based organizations, we have the farmer groups, and they are able to, they have a strong voice. They have a strong share of voice and able to, give stamp a product for farmers and for the sector to buy into it, should you have their backing. So it's very key to look at that. These are some of the programs that we run at Agri House. And these are
Alberta, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are running out of time, and we want to give the time to the companies, to the audience to ask questions. So you have 1 minute to finalize, okay?
So I would like to share just a short one with you on Wenches. Wenches came to Ghana 46 years ago.
Wait, Alberta, but share with us a little bit about who you are. I think it is important. Don't skip that slide. Just
okay. So well, the presentation will be there, but I wanted to speak about when Wenches came to Ghana and took the bold step of exploring the input market, brought Yara to Ghana, and then sold it back to Yara. And that was a calculated risk, but he's made a lot of impacts in Ghana, and his story will live on forever. He's gone on to establish a lot of organizations like IWAD, Zena Lodge, Africa Tiger, and make a lot of inroads impacting farmers and establishing them. And then I will encourage you to do the same should you want to invest in Ghana. On that note, my name is Albert Anana Echa Akosa. I'm the founder of Agri House Foundation. We are into interventional projects, mainly focused on agriculture. We seek to impact and make impactful measures. We seek to impact and make strong impact on the farmer and then the agricultural community as a whole. So thank you again for having me. I'm available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alberta, for your insights. I appreciate you taking the time to share those very useful resources. So now it's the time for you, the audience, to ask Alberta questions. You can just open your mic and go ahead.
Speaking, I'm not open. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Which incentive the government is giving for a farmer to shift to better irrigation systems? Because finally, without support of the government, nobody can assist the small farmers.
Sorry, Moti, can you help me with the question? Hello?
Yeah, sorry?
I didn't hear him well. If you could, did you hear him well so I could answer?
Yeah, Amnon, can you ask again?
Yeah.
He's asking
which incentives the government is giving to the small farmer to shift from all the type of irrigation system to more modern system.
Okay, so presently the government is running a subsidy program that supports the farmers, but mainly in the areas of fertilizer and seeds. And the farmers are able to also explore opportunities. So individual organizations come in to build their capacity in terms of irrigation or and all this. But it will be an interesting thing to, you know, as an Israeli company, to have a package and propose to the government. One thing you should know is the government is very keen on private and public partnerships, and they are open to proposals and open to partnerships. So it's something that you could come in and say, hey, this is what I have, and this is how I want it to work. Currently, as I mentioned, the government is running a program with SAPIP. SAPIP is an organization in the northern region, and they are driving an agenda of supporting the farmer. So right from fertilizer to seeds to irrigation, they give to the farmer who want to commercialize or to scale up. And then this is being done with private partners. So you are secured as a private partner, and then the government through SAPIP is running this with support of other development partners. So it's really a broad sector filled with opportunities, and it's for you as an organization or as an individual to propose to the government, to understand what the government is doing, their projects, and say, look, this is what I have, and how can we run it together? So it can be really driven as by you as an independent person or with partnership with the government. But it's important to always take the first step and present a proposal to the government. And we are willing to support you to do that, to meet the right people and to present proposals should you be ready to commence.
Thank you, Alberta. I can see in the chat that Michael Pascal is asking regarding fish farming in Ghana. Maybe you can give more information about that sector.
Okay, so for fish farming, it's rising. The most popular fish farmer we have in Ghana is Ranan Fisheries. A lot of people know. In the Volta region, a lot of people are also going into it now, and it presents enormous opportunities. Like I mentioned earlier on, the animal agricultural value chain sector has been a bit downplayed, and it's now rising. So everything, it's really about, and I will always refer to Ranges because he took calculated risk. It's really about you possibly coming down and then together with the trade mission supporting you, and AgriHouse, of course, visiting some of the areas, especially in the Volta region, who have the dams and all that, and even in the central region, who want to do more or want to scale up. And then you could see it's always important to understand the market and know that this solution will work for the market, because a holistic solution may not work for everyone. So it would be great to come to Ghana. We could go with you to visit some of the sites. We could look at the gaps, what do they need, and then you could possibly put together a solution that is tailored to that market, to that fish industry for them. But as I said, there is vast opportunities, right from feed to packaging to processing to anything that you could think of, to equipment and anything that you could think of within the sector. But it's about you identifying the opportunity, and we are very ready and willing to support you do that in Ghana should you be ready to take that step. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yes, by far, yes. Thank you.
Please, go ahead. You said that he answered the question. Okay, good. So there is another question regarding the poultry sector. I think you answered already by answering the question on the fish farm, unless you got something to add regarding the poultry sector.
Sorry, there's a question on the poultry sector.
Yeah, it's the same one, for the same as you've been asked about the fish farming, but I think you already answered in a general way. So
Okay.
I think we're good, unless you got something to add regarding especially the poultry sector.
Oh, no, I think the poultry sector has received a lot of support. I think it's gotten to a stage of possibly, I think that a lot of Israelis have been coming in. There's been a lot of promotion by the Ghana Poultry Project to also scale up the sector. But there are still huge gaps. People want to commercialize and use solar systems and all that. So another area to possibly consider is how to bring in technology to scale up the sector.
Okay, thank you a lot. So if there are not any further questions, we'll continue to the next session. So
okay, so my presentation is available. I have some key learnings about doing business in Ghana, leading to your success, knowing Ghana, understanding the people and the regions, possibly touring the region, and knowing that one solution will not work for everyone, but tailored solutions would possibly work. So the presentation is available. I think it's with Keck and Ayelet. So anybody who needs it and anybody who wants to reach out to AgriHouse or to contact me directly, my details are with Ayelet and Keck, so you could take it and then we could connect from there. So thank you again for having me. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot. So we will continue now to this next session with the Agribusiness Development Manager of the 3 economic missions to South Africa, Kenya, and Ghana. And the first one to start will be Kirk Amoah from the Economic Mission to Ghana. Kirk, please. Kirk, we cannot see your screen yet.
Trying to.
Maybe shall we move to the next speaker while Kirk is fixing his technical problems. So Joanna Wanjiku from the
Yes,
Economic
Moti.
Mission to Kenya. Please, go ahead.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, if you can put a full screen, it will be even better.
Great. Shalom, everyone. My name is Joanna Wanjiku. I'm the trade officer at the Embassy of Israel to Kenya, and I handle the agriculture sector here at the embassy. So a brief about what I'm going to discuss in this presentation. I'll take you through the agriculture sector in Kenya in general. I'll also share some advice in terms of the business culture in Kenya. I'll take you through some of the challenges we experience in the Kenya agriculture sector. I'll also share a few examples about a successful story and a non-successful story from an Israeli company entering the Kenyan market. And lastly, I'm going to share with you a short list of the recommended do's and don'ts when it comes to doing business in Kenya. On the left screen, you'll be able to see our beautiful country and some of our key agriculture products and sectors that we deal with. Moving on, agriculture is basically the backbone of the Kenyan economy, so I can confidently say it's one of the most economic sectors in the country. Most of our major agricultural products include tea, coffee, horticultural crops such as avocado, flowers. We also deal with corn, wheat, sugarcane, dairy products, and the like. More than 75% of Kenyans earn a living through agriculture, and this translates to about more than a quarter of Kenya's gross domestic product. So only about 20% of Kenyan land is suitable for farming. And I would also want to add that less than 8% is used for crop and feed production, which means it's grossly underutilized. Hence, we have not yet reached our maximum potential when it comes to yields being achieved. The majority of our farmers work with basic agriculture inputs, so sometimes they even lack quality seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and the like. They also lack updated technology, they lack access to adequate financing, and also extension services, they have a challenge with that. So there's need to work with producers and communities to help them acquire relevant agriculture knowledge. Then most of these are small scale farmers, and they're usually organized into associations and cooperatives. We go to the sector challenges. When it comes to agriculture, our sector is heavily reliant on rainfall. That, coupled with global warming and the less predictable weather patterns, poses a huge challenge to the Kenyan farmer. Most of our farmers, again, cannot afford basic farm inputs. They lack access to agricultural finance. They also have limited value addition, so most of the agricultural produce is going to waste. So you will have tomatoes going bad when if you could do some value addition to maybe make it into ketchup and things like milk, maybe adding some value addition to make it to yogurt or ice cream and things like that. We also have limited both local and foreign markets. Some of our products have been banned by international markets. We also have unclear strategies to exploit both the local and global market opportunities. And lastly, which is very crucial, is our challenge with the poor infrastructure. So could be things like basic road network or poor road network systems, which are a huge challenge to the farmers in Kenya. I'd go now into the advice for the business culture in Kenya. English is widely spoken in Kenya, especially in the business context, but I would add that Kenyans tend to be indirect in their communication, and sometimes direct critique can be perceived negatively. So it's common to hear Kenyans saying maybe instead of giving you a direct no. That's one of the challenges we have. We are indirect communicators. Business in Kenya tends to operate on Swahili time, and by this I mean it's normal for a meeting set at 8 a.m. to start at 8:05 or at 8:10, so be prepared for that. I'd also advise you to set meetings at least 2 weeks prior in advance, and definitely confirm about 2 to 3 days before the set date. Negotiations are the order of the day. Business people always negotiate in Kenya, so expect people to negotiate. We have two different categories. We have the Indian Kenyans and the African Kenyans. The Indian Kenyans tend to require a wider room for negotiation, and the African Kenyans tend to take a longer time when it comes to negotiations, so be prepared for that as well. Aggressive behavior is frowned upon in the country. We prefer politeness and humility when it comes to your approach, which will help you to gain influence, especially with your local distributors, and enable you to work better with them. Small tokens, gifts such as corporate diaries or corporate marketing materials, biros, branded items are welcome. To give you an example of successful and not successful Israeli companies that have tried to, that have entered the Kenyan market. One is a company that was able to find a very strong local distributor. They deal with farm inputs, and what attributes to their success is that they were able to find someone with a huge local distribution network mapped strategically across the country. Also, people with a strong sales team, companies that have been in operation for a long time, so they have boots on the ground, they know the farmers, they have direct contact with the cooperatives, the farmer cooperatives and associations, and that led to the success of this company. The company that was not successful is a case of mismatching the product with the target audience. There was an application they wanted to introduce to the tomato farmers in Kenya, but if you understand the Kenyan market when it comes to tomato farmers, most of them are not even using phones that are internet enabled. So before you approach this person or this farmer with an application to help them manage their farm better, you have to understand some of them do not even have internet capability. So that posed a huge challenge to the company. So the advice is to do a lot of market research in terms of the market, the target audience, to find out if your product is a match for the audience. So lastly, I'm going to go to through the do's and don'ts when it comes to doing business in Kenya. Of course, the first thing is to always contact the trade officer at the embassy in which you're approaching, the country that you want to start your business in or enter the market in. We'll be able to guide you and give you assistance before you engage with these local companies and individuals. Secondly, conduct your due diligence on the local company before engaging with them on any activities. And this means finding out how long the company has been in operation, if they have the financial market to, the financial muscle to stock up your products and distribute them in the country, if they have a good distribution network, if they have a good and a strong sales team, if they're good communicators and things like that. Thirdly is to ensure that your products and solutions are customizable for the local market. This includes cost. As I mentioned, farmers have a huge challenge with finance. So ensure that your products are price sensitive. Technology requirements, do your due diligence in terms of researching what the technology requirements are for the market that you're entering. It's key to have a strong local representative, as I've mentioned prior, good distribution network. They've been in operation for a long time. They're a good communicator in terms of sharing the information with you. This will inform that this is a strong local representative. Consider offering samples to the local distributors who you are interested in working with. This will help them to get a clear understanding of your products. Engage in marketing activities for your solutions with the relevant local, in relevant local activities. You can do this either by working with the various cooperatives, farmer cooperatives. There's usually an association or cooperative for every subsector in agriculture. So there's an Avocado Society of Kenya, there's a Tomato Society of Kenya. So depending on which target audience you have, you can do joint activities in the form of webinars. You could do physical activities, like we organized an avocado tour where we went with Israeli companies, local farmers to farms and companies where Israeli technologies are being used so that they could see firsthand with their own eyes. So engage in a lot of marketing activities. Engage with the local distributor. They are the food soldiers. They know the ground. They know the challenges that the local farmer is facing. So engage with them. Work with local associations, as I've just mentioned, which will help to create awareness for your solution. Lastly, be patient. Kenyans are marathon runners. So naturally, it's going to be a marathon. It won't be a sprint. So don't expect business to start within the next week or so. So be patient with the Kenyan distributor and be patient with the Kenyan market as well. Finally, I'll just briefly touch on the don'ts. It's best not to criticize Kenyans and point out their shortcomings.
Joanna, please do it briefly because we are running out of time.
Sure. So foreign criticism may be considered offensive or an insult. Do not assume all African people are the same, so avoid homogenizing Kenyans with the neighboring countries. And lastly, don't ignore the concerns raised by a local partner or the target audience when it comes to your products or solution features. Thank you very much, Moti. I'm done.
Thank you a lot, Joanna. If someone has a question, in the end, after also South Africa and Ghana will finish their presentation, we'll have time for questions. So don't worry, be patient like Joanna said. So now I would like to start again, try with Kirk. Kirk, is everything good? You can share your screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just put it on full screen mode and we are ready to go.
All right. So my name is Kim, the Business Development Manager for the Daily Trade Office in Ghana. First, I'd like to start with the general facts and figures about our cultural sector. Agriculture contributes about 20% of Ghana's GDP and is the second largest employer in the country. Well, this shows how inefficient our cultural sector is because so much people are in the cultural space but contributes very little in our total GDP, but at the same time shows the opportunity in there, especially in job creation. More than 50% of our land is considered agricultural land, so it means there's more land to be used for agriculture. Our culture is divided into crops, livestock, fishing, forestry, and logging. I think Alberta touched on that. Major challenges we face in our cultural space is poor financial support, there's no reliable information, poor transportation and storage facilities, low mechanization and poor adoption to new technologies, inadequate agriculture extension services, and poor land tenure system. To the business culture of a typical Ghanaian or a Ghanaian businessman, we prefer more face-to-face meetings than virtual. COVID obviously has enforced that we do a lot of virtual meetings, but a typical Ghanaian businessman prefers a more face-to-face meeting so that he can understand you and express his concerns very well. Right from the onset of the meeting, a clear agenda has to be set, or the purpose for the meeting has to be clear for both parties, so that the Ghanaian businessman doesn't think that you are trying to waste his time or not. And we mostly work based on trust and commitment. You get a lot of our businessmen saying they usually don't sign contracts with their foreign partners, but once after a period of time working together, there's a trust and commitment. They are willing to do the business with you. We have a strong feeling of wanting to see and feel before we take a decision. So irrespective of the send or whatever information you give out, we still want to see the product, we still want to see the service in play. And we are a very price sensitive market, simply because our financial system is not that strong and there's a lot of competition in our cultural space. Naturally, we don't like to be rushed. We like to take things smoothly and we like to take things one at a time. So I'll say this is my most important slide. I'll say you need to have these facts in mind before even considering coming to the Ghanaian market. First of all, Israel has a lot of goodwill in Ghana. Ghana is a majority Christian country. So anything Israel, a lot of people are willing to listen and approach it with an open heart. So Israel enjoys a lot of goodwill with Ghanaians. Our cultural system is mainly smallholder based, rain-fed, and very low tech. Smallholder based meaning we don't have a lot of commercial farms. We have huge numbers of smallholder based who are from cooperatives and bodies who are now strong and very vocal. Rain-fed meaning there's a lot of opportunity for irrigation now in Ghana. Low tech because that's what is tried and tested. We have a very poor attitude of adopting new technologies simply because we want to see how well the technology works first before we adopt it. This means that our adoption rate of new technology normally takes between 3 to 9 months. So if you introduce a service or a product into our space, you need to first take your time and wait for about a year before the product is really adopted by our local farmers. And it means you need to have you have to put a lot of investment into demonstrations and exhibitions. Once a smallholder farmer likes it and adopts it, it catches on like wild bushfire and everybody adopts it. Most of our inputs in our cultural space is imported from China, Brazil, India, and in the European markets. This means there's a lot of competition by foreign players in the market. So if you are coming to the Ghanaian market, know that there's a lot of competition by other foreign players who have a very good and well-established presence locally. Our idea of quality is very subjective and perceptive. Subjective in the sense that a Ghanaian farmer will consider something quality if he can afford it or if it's available to him. So most of the times we get Israeli companies coming here saying our products are expensive because it's of more quality. But to the Ghanaian farmer, if another company is offering something similar of, let's say, poor quality to him, because he can afford that, he's always going to say that is of more quality than what you are offering. And moreover, if he has not seen it in work and it has produced results, he's not going to assume that what you are saying is true. As I said, we are very price sensitive because our financial markets for our cultural space is very poor. Minimum credit term, a normal cultural business in Ghana will get is between 24% to 30% per annum. So usually financing is a very difficult thing for them. And most of our cultural players want to grow strategically and in blocks. They don't want to grow at once. So those things you have to consider doing when you come here is products or services that you plan bringing into our market needs to be modular and upgradable, meaning these are things that the farmer can grow with. So example, let's say if you want to come and set up a poultry farm, a Ghanaian farmer is looking for a huge poultry farm, and let's say your cost is $10 million, he's not going to commit that amount if he even has it. First, he wants to commit $1 million to see that whatever you're bringing will actually work before you increase it 3 to 5 to 10. So normally products that you consider for our markets needs to be modular that can be used by smallholder farmers, as I said, because smallholder farmers are the majority of the bulk of our farmers and something they can grow with. And as I said before, you need to invest a lot into free samples, trials, demonstrations, and exhibitions. With this, as I said, with our business culture, we want to feel and see. So whatever you are bringing in needs to be exhibited or demonstrated on the farm or something for the smallholder farmer or for whoever is in there to know that actually this actually works and it gives me the results that I'm looking for. The most important aspect is to look for a strategic local partner, which usually we, the trade officers, are responsible for finding you the local partner. After getting you the strong strategic local partner, it's very important for you to listen to what he says, understand it, get his insights and concerns about what he raises about your products. or service because they have the local knowledge and expertise. And another point is be willing to share initial cost of your product penetration with a local partner and sign contracts. This is important because once the local partner is willing to share your product penetration cost, it means that your product has a good chance of succeeding in the market, and it puts the local partner skin in the game, and also puts your skin in the game, meaning you are not just coming here to dump your product for sales, but you are coming to grow your product and also invest in the market for your product to do well in the market. Be clear on your purpose of engagement with the local partner from day one. And as I said, our financial sector is very poor, especially in the agribusiness space. So normally coming with favorable credit terms or a financial partner financial strategy, because no local farmer is going to buy something he has never seen work at a go. First, he wants to see it work and he wants a credit term so that he can pay it off gradually. Once one farmer sees that this thing works, his other farmers will come on board and are willing to pay full price for whatever it is. So usually come with a good credit term or financial strategy, which will reduce the financial burden on these farmers or these local partners to be able to afford whatever product or services you bring in. And as I said, we like to do meetings, or we prefer face-to-face interaction. So be willing to visit the country at least twice a year to meet your local partner and to get updates on how successful your product or service is doing. Major donors I get a lot of Israeli businesses coming here chasing after government contracts.
Kirk, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're running out of time, so we need to do it.
No problem. That's my last slide. Government contracts are difficult to get. It takes more resources and it takes more time. And this government is actually encouraging a lot of private sector involvement. So it's better to go through private sector, a local partner who can help you with the government contract, but rather coming and chasing government contracts. It's not impossible, it's very possible, but to take you a lot of time and resources. Do not impose your will on local partners. Take your time through the process to finally work out. And most importantly, don't miss scheduled meetings and be careful the money you pay to who and for what purpose. Otherwise, you may find yourself paying a bribe. That's what I will say. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Kirk. Thanks a lot. So now we will proceed to the last but not least, our Charmaine Irshovitz from the Economic Mission to South Africa.
Thank you. Continue. You must close your screen, Kirk. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. Good morning, nearly good afternoon. I'm Charmaine Irshovitz from the Israeli Embassy to South Africa's Trade Office. I'm in charge of business development in agriculture, life science, and retail tech. I'm just going to give you a basic overview of the agricultural sector in South Africa. It's both robust and world-class. We have a dual economy with well-developed commercial farming, and on the other side, small-scale subsistence-based production. We market-orientated economy and highly diversified. Our main crops are deciduous fruit, grains, sugar, citrus, wine, and vegetables. Big farms are the key to food security and exports in South Africa. Small farms service local communities and markets. The total area farmed in SA is plus minus 82.2 million hectares. The farming is divided into regions which are suitable for specific crops. Example, in the Western Cape is predominantly citrus and deciduous fruits, whereas in the north, grains, wheat, and barley. It's a very, very robust and resilient sector. Despite COVID, for the last quarter, fourth quarter of the year, the agricultural sector grew 18.8% year on year, quarter on quarter. We had record exports in 2020 of $3.2 billion, 5% increase on the year before. South Africa is expected to register a cumulative aggregate growth rate of 4.5% during the period next 5 years. It's the gateway to the rest of the African continent. So if you're looking and doing business in Africa, we've got a good infrastructure, we've got a good footing in agriculture here. It's a springboard. South Africa is forecast to be the breadbasket of Africa, help with food security for their neighbors. Technology is growing fast. We have more than 420 local agri-tech companies. If there is a huge potential for agri-startups, Israelis, South Africa operates in the opposite seasons. So when Israel or Europe can't grow a particular crop, we can step in. The sector has extensive knowledge and understanding of the ecosystem and products. And to quote Farmers Weekly, a week ago, Israeli technologies could boost SA agriculture with big data to minimize waste, create efficiencies, quality control, monitoring, food chain, cold chain, etc. But it needs to be quality and to ensure above average yields. On the other hand, small subsistence farmers service local communities and markets. There's a very slow growth trajectory. They have a poor infrastructure and resources, and it's not organized or applied properly. They are suspicious of anyone from the outside with intentions to help. They've been let down hugely in the past, left in the lurch. If you're going to help develop them, it requires a regional and a project-focused approach. It's important to have a BE partner, Black Economic Empowerment Partner, connected to government and cooperative schemes. You can't do it alone. Collaborate with corporate social initiatives, companies like mines and banks. They have all these special projects for smallholder farmers, and they'll help provide funding, and also from impact farming. It's fairly low tech, but they require quality seeds, quality input. Nearly every small farmer owns a mobile phone, so it's a good opportunity for them to become contract growers and sell their produce to mills, processing companies, and for export. Business culture, it's formal and polite. Takes time to build trust. The first meet is usually over coffee or a meal where largely business is not discussed. You get to know the person, you get to know about them, how they operate, how long they've been in business, etc. Yes does not always mean yes. It can mean I'm going back to think about it, maybe, and it's not a done deal. Responding now can mean in a month. Now. South Africans are leapfroggers. They're not early adopters, although COVID has forced them to accelerate and adopt technology faster. Patience, and more patience. Things are very slow in South Africa. Dues, it's very important to have boots or local POC on the ground. Farmers prefer to deal with large companies. They can negotiate good deals. So target agents and distributors and resellers. Offer unique solutions to differentiate them from others. Customize the solution with savings and efficiencies. That's the main criteria. And a financial model. Technology is not enough. South Africa has a weak currency, and Israeli solutions are dollar denominated. Offer tech that captures the essence of the requirements to keep price lower. It doesn't have to be the best, but it needs to be quality. Okay. Don't adopt a one fit for all approach. Look at each situation in isolation. Don't overlook the opportunity to engage with smaller companies just because they're small. They have a wide national footprint, and from their engagement with them, you can roll out across the country franchises. Don't show a militaristic attitude if you disagree with the farmers, and don't become aggravated. They like to play devil's advocate and ask questions to see if you're open for negotiation. Don't be stubborn. It immediately tells the farmer there's no room for negotiation. Don't be impatient and pressurize the clients. South Africans like to take their time to build trust. Don't badmouth your competitors. Don't ignore and fight feedback and criticism from potential clients. They are familiar with the system and their feedback is valuable. Just a success story. We had a yield estimation company join us for a roadshow. Initially, he was hugely hesitant. He didn't want to join. He came with us on our roadshow around the country. And finally, in the Western Cape, he was able to connect with a relevant agent to represent him. They did a few trials, and eventually they got funding from a local agri investor. So he followed the protocol of engaging with a local person, listening, attending roadshows. Not successful. It was a low-level irrigation product. The South African company said to him, listen, we found XYZ wrong with it. He just dissed it and wouldn't listen. And so eventually, even for a bit higher price, the South African took another Israeli company for an ongoing contract. So you need to have boots on the ground, listen, take constructive criticism, and be patient. Thank you, Charmaine Hershowitz, Israel Trade South Africa, for any questions.
Thanks a lot, Charmaine. Thank you. So now we are ready to get questions from the audience. So if any of you have any question, please just open your mic and go ahead. So in the meanwhile, I would like to ask three of you a question, Kirk, Charmaine, and Joanna. So if it was a company looking to enter those countries now, post-COVID time, what changes took place? What do I need to keep in mind when approaching those countries to do business with? So let's start with Kirk.
All right. So currently post-COVID, it depends on what you are looking out for. So as I now, a lot of our cultural businesses, I mean, sales was down last year and everything, but the banks are willing to offer some sort of credit relief. So they are looking at getting their business back up. So should I say rendering services to them as of now to help their businesses as of now is what they will be looking out for rather than buying new products as of now. But they are looking at long-term strategic decisions. So for our trade office like this, we are getting a lot of Ghanaian businesses coming to us for long-term strategic partnerships with Israeli companies. So so 2 or 3 years, project that will take 2 or 3 years to implement. So they are now looking at feasibility studies or some form of initial grant work that to be done for something to be implemented in the next 2 or 3 years. So these are the kind of services we are getting from Ghanaian partners in our trade offices and now.
Thank you. Charmaine, Joanna, do you have something to add?
I would say any product that's going to contribute to food security, that we can mitigate the risk of not crossing borders during a pandemic or having to import. It must be good, solid products. Also, obviously, South Africans have become more tech savvy, and anything that frees up the farmer from management of his farm in terms of admin. He wants to, so farm management systems, GIS-based, etc. now, so you can actually be on the land and be in touch, and he doesn't have to do all the admin. Also, what we found was production needs to be closer to demand because of the supply chain issues during COVID. So cold chain monitoring, quality control, etc. Yeah, not that much change during COVID. It's just people became more agile and to accept technology to ease it. Yes, the ports were closed for a while and it affected export, but that's been sort of sorted out at the moment. Yeah.
Thank you. Joanna, anything to add?
Just to echo what Kirk and Charmaine have said, pretty much the landscape is the same here in Kenya. More agile, people are looking for smart agriculture has become a priority. Agriculture in our country is devolved, so most of the counties are really taking up smart agriculture, mechanized farming, looking for solutions in value addition, solutions that can ensure quality for the export market, solutions across the whole value chain from primary production to value addition to food processing, solutions that will do away with post-harvest losses, sorting and packing solutions, and disease prevention as well. So we also have an agriculture sector growth network transformation strategy, and this has been is being implemented by the government for the next 10 years, and they've prioritized like flagship areas that they're looking at, funding and helping the local farmer to improve in terms of agriculture sector. So those are some of the highlights of what's happening post-COVID. Yes.
Thank you, Joanna. Any questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have another question for you. So what is the best way from your perspective to reach the small-scale farmers in your country? Now we will start with Charmaine.
As I mentioned in my presentation, it's definitely with a partner, whether it be government, NGO, or corporate development, to take hands with them, help them, give them a model, give them a plan, help with the inputs and guide them all the way through, but don't do it alone. Don't just give inputs and instructions and leave the farmer. It needs to be a continuous, ongoing, handheld, together collaboration. Yeah, it's not easy. I always say, do your homework first, get your credit, get your money up front, see that the land is who they say its land is, etc. So yeah, it's fraught with with problems and obstacles. It's not easy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Joanna, Kirk, anything to add?
So for me, in Ghana, if you want to get access to a large scale of cooperatives or smallholder farmers, well, our answer is on the call, Alberta. The organization has a very good convening power to bring together these groups, especially up north. Last year, I went for their event called Agriculture Pre-Harvest, where they brought around about 5,000 different groups of smallholder farmers, where people came for exhibitions and everything. I was really impressed with how they were able to bring all these people together at one place. So at these events, you can properly expose whatever technology or services you have to these farmers. But as I said in my presentation, it needs to be relevant for them. And number two, you have to build it according to what they like. So if I'm permitted, if I'm permitted to mention an Israeli business which we think their product is best suited for our market, am I permitted to do that? Oh. But well, they have an irrigation system. Most of the Israeli businesses we have spoken to, their irrigation systems are huge and big and everything. But this company came up with a very simple irrigation system, which a smallholder farmer can set up themselves, manage themselves, and be able to operate themselves, and doesn't require a lot of, shall I say, upfront cost. It's relatively cheap, was still not. But this is something where when we introduced to most of our partners locally, it generated more interest than usual. So it made us realize that, okay, well, if you bring solutions which are, shall I say, toned down from the usually large, big scale solutions being provided by Israeli companies, it's something our local partners are willing to take up on and are willing to market for you, and also willing to explore opportunities available in our markets.
Thank you, Kirk. John, anything to add?
For us, it's definitely going through the associations and cooperatives. All our farmers are organized into associations and cooperatives. Once you get the CEO, it's easier to escalate your product down to the farmer level. Again, engage in joint activities with them, do webinars, do samples, do joint activities, do tours. Our farmers also like the physical approach. So a good thing, COVID is a bit, the restrictions are limiting, but we're still starting to do trade shows, trade fairs. If you're able to come, bring some of your product samples, because they want to see the irrigation system, they want to see the fertilizers, they want to go to the nurseries where your seedlings, your high quality seedlings are. So engage in physical activities with them. At the county level, engage with the ministers for agriculture. They are willing to work with you. They have the funding support from the government. So do feel free to engage with them as well.
Okay, thank you a lot. So I see there are no further questions. So just to let you know, this session was recorded. So if any of you would like to get the recording, please let me know. I will send all of you an email later on today, or no later by tomorrow, and with information of the trade officer that spoke today and the commercial attaché, and also Alberta. So you will have all the information that needed. We encourage you to be in touch with us according to any future opportunity that you have, or any opportunity that you're looking for in Africa. We are here for you together with our partners in the Foreign Trade Administration. So thank you a lot and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Moti.